You remember that whole controversy when they were like, the Furbies are spying on you? There's cameras from China in the Furbies. And you're like, oh God, I gotta get rid of my Furby.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Tired Witches podcast. We are here today for the last segment of our Saving Six deep dive. I'd say can't believe we're already here, but this is only my second episode deep diving with you guys. This is going to be a fun one. This is a very difficult part of the book, but it is emotional and great and all the things. But before I get into that, I would like to say make sure to subscribe here, click for notifications so you can get all our new episodes uploaded. Lots of content coming soon for you guys. It's actually so exciting how much we have planned. And then follow us on TikTok, we're Tired Witches, and Instagram, we are Tired Witches Podcast. And then on TikTok, we got Ashley as Archives of Ashley, and also Archives of Ashley on Instagram. She's the one uniform one out of all of us. I'm Chronic Chillness on TikTok and Chronic Chapters on Instagram, and Olivia is Perfect, P-U-R-R, Perfect Book Pages on Instagram, and A Girl and Her Cats on TikTok. So come follow us. You'll get lots of sneak peeks into the type of content that we're going to be doing. But yeah, really excited to deep dive with this. How are you guys feeling going into 6th year with Joey and Aoife?
First of all, I want to say you're so formal. Whenever it's my turn to drop the handles, I'm like, and they're here on the screen. There you go.
I'm like, what is your username again? She's already got it all down.
I know.
Look at me.
I know. What a style.
Nepotism.
She's the witch with her life a little bit more organized than the other two.
She's got more of a life than us too, so there's that.
Yeah.
I need structure because of how busy my freaking life is. So
fair.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to get into this. It's been a while. It's been like a week and a half since I read this section, and because my office has moved, I've actually lost my book. I have no idea with my book with the notes, everything. So I am having to read through the special edition here because it's here somewhere in this room. And like I said, we originally planned to film this a while ago, so it's lost here in this madness. You guys don't know what it looks like behind here. There's just books everywhere.
So luckily this is a series where you lost a copy. Gee, where can I find another copy of Saving Six?
I know. Thank gosh, I have like 20 million copies.
Where's that gonna be? I am stumped for another.
It's just a bummer. It's a bummer because all my notes were in that one. So.
I know. That's the real loss. It's somewhere. It's somewhere.
It'll turn up when you don't need it at all. That's
exactly it.
Turns up when you need it the least.
Deep diving Kingdom of Ash, and I'm gonna find that one. Like, oh great.
Right.
Yeah.
How are you, Ashley?
You know me. Before we got on, I was telling you I'm feeling sore today, so
that's a bummer.
I think it's stress related too. But you know how that is, how that goes.
Yes, I do.
But I'm excited to wrap this up. I love Saving Six, but as you guys know, this is really the part in the timeline where we are kick-starting the main timeline. So,
yeah. And also I feel like I love Saving. This is it's so underrated. I don't know why people rate this so low.
Always so low, and it's like, gosh, damn, did we read the same book?
List.
It is, especially like when you get into this part. I'm like, there's a lot emotionally to deal with here, and it's only setting up the juggernaut that is redeeming Six. So I
good use of that word, Olivia.
Thanks.
Well, and then
well done.
At least according to the crap I read on Reddit, there are a select few that don't even read Joey's books at all.
Is that crazy?
Because
I don't
understand. I already know everything. I'm in the current time. Well, no, you don't.
You miss so much. Like the little Easter eggs in Saving alone throughout the entire series, and then Redeeming. You get a ton of Liz Hewen in Redeeming. So I don't understand how you skip Joey's books. And it's Joey Lynch. Who skips Joey Lynch?
Well, and I think the part that gets me is it's always, Joey's books are too much, I can't handle it. So then you want to go right to Gibbsy and Lizzie, who are worse, in my opinion.
I'm like, Lizzie's is the heaviest out of all of them, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get into our disclaimer before we jump into this. As you know, the Boys of Tommen series deals with some deeply heavy, emotional, and triggering themes. Since we're breaking the books down in detail, those topics will naturally come up in our discussions. Please take care of yourself, pause if you need to, and only listen in a way that feels comfortable for you. We also have a list here of any support, telephone numbers, websites you can reach out to if you are feeling triggered in any way and need someone to talk to. Please use those resources, especially as we start to get into these heavier themes with Joey Lynch here. Ashley, do you have a breakdown you want to go into? Okay, let's go for it.
All right. In this final portion of Saving Six, we cover the first half of Joey and Aoife's 6th year at BCS. Shannon is going to get ready to prep to attend Tommen, and Joey and Aoife get closer and closer.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, Grace, kick us off. What year are we starting off with?
We are in August of 2004, August 31st, 2004.
And this is the 6th year and the final year in Saving Six.
Mm-hmm.
So go for it, Grace.
Yeah, so here we see Joey and Shannon going to Joey, asking for help as Joey is coming home from training because, once again, Tadgh is attacking the children. And I have realized while during this deep dive that really, like, that first day back to school looks the same every year for Joey. I can't believe I never caught this pattern before until this deep dive, because this is literally like my 4th time reading this book, and I finally caught it this time. So this is where Tadgh hit Tadgh for the first time, which is pretty monumental. And once again, we have Joey having a flashback to a moment with Darren, where he's saying, "It's okay, Darren, I wheeze, leaning heavily over the toilet bowl as a mixture of vomit and blood continued to heave from my black and blue stomach. I'm okay." "Joey," Darren croaked out as he knelt behind me and kept a steadying hand on my back. "I'm so sorry I wasn't here. I had training," which is a direct parallel to what Joey is saying. And he says, "It doesn't matter. I don't care." And then we have Tadgh saying, "It doesn't matter," Tadgh replied, giving me a horrible taste of deja vu. "I don't care." And then he says, "What happened? What the fuck happened, Tadgh?" And he says, "Dad hit Shannon, so I hit Dad. Dad hits harder." Which is just really, really difficult for Joey to see, and just to see the chaos that is the Lynch home. It's just wild seeing it through Joey's eyes. And even in the midst of the chaos, we get Joey texting Aoife and a cute little moment of them saying, "I don't love you," to each other. And he says, "Sliding my phone back into my pocket, I pushed all thoughts of Molloy out of my mind and got down to the business of cleaning up my parents' mess." So yeah, that is the introductory to 6th year for Joey. Yeah.
I love this parallel here of Darren, Joey, Tadgh, because it shows in a perfect way the generational trauma that continues to fester into this family, and unfortunately what is going to continue to happen until somebody puts a stop to it. So much so that you get the words, word for word, from Joey to Tadgh to Darren type of deal. And it once again adds another layer of the anger Joey feels towards Darren leaving, in my opinion. But I think it's a very powerful moment here. It's sad, it's heartbreaking, because we know where he was before. We know he's happy with Aoife. And then to come here and see that because he wasn't home on time, because he was out finally doing what he wanted to do as a normal teenager, it caused repercussions at home. It adds another layer of guilt onto Joey Lynch that it just starts piling on and piling on. So it's really unfortunate and sad.
Yeah, and then with the piling on, I also want to note, you notice there's a difference a little bit in tone. With the end of 5th year, there was a lot of having fun, letting loose and everything. And with the beginning of 6th year, everything's tightening down. And when you think about it, this is his final year. He's always thinking about, can I take them with me? There's too many of them. Like, it's like the clock's ticking down. And when I was reading this entire 6th year, a lot of it is really dark,
Yeah, there's a lot happening here that I want to get into later in the episode, but so many cracks on the surface are really showing here. And
I think, like I said, this is the big introduction to redeeming 6, right? Like, we know that it's about to get heavier. It's about to get much harder for Joey Lynch. And he gets this moment of reprieve with him and Aoife finally coming together. And there's that other shoe that is always going to drop because he's got Teddy and Marie at home. And as long as those two people exist in Joey's life, it will always be this pattern, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
So, Ashley, you want to kick us off on September 1st, 2004?
All right. Favorite exclusive friend. We are back in Aoife's POV. Hold on, because it's been a little bit since I've read that. Are we at school?
Sure are. Walking up to the first day.
All right. And then I do have this highlighted because we all love her. Aoife is able to clock that Marie is not good, just from the very little interactions that she's had with him. And she talks about, I loathe the fact that he had been thrust into playing the role of both mother and father to his siblings because his shitty parents wouldn't do their job. It sucked. It pissed me off that they depended on him for every bloody thing, especially his mother. She was the worst of all. Sometimes I wanted to stand in front of him and scream back off to his family. He has a life of his own to lead. And this is the only person that is looking out for him like that. Because you could argue that Shannon is, but Shannon has to look at Joey as the protector, you know?
Aoife has a different perspective of it, and she wants Joey to be Joey and have a life of his own with her, you know, and as a normal teenage boy. And while she knows what's going on at home, she doesn't know the severe extent of it, but this is Aoife integrating into that mixture. I feel like this is the first instance of her really starting to integrate herself into what is going to become the drama of binding and keeping.
Yeah, because she says further down on this page, I didn't know what to do, how to help him, or how to exist in his complicated world. His parents made me feel... His siblings made me feel helpless. His friends at school made me feel uncomfortable. And his friends from the terrace made me feel entirely unwelcome.
And she says, I cared enough about him to want to stay. That is Aoife's entire theme throughout these 2 books, is that she stays because of how in love she is with Joey Lynch. And he needs that. He needs that protection and guidance from her. So.
And this is, we talk a lot, especially in this series of deep dives, that there are so many parallels to Hugh and Liz as well. And I think Hughie and Aoife as characters have a lot of parallels to them.
Grace, did you pick anything up from this chapter?
Find it interesting about how, you know, Aoife greets Shannon and she's asking,
they call each other friends, yeah.
Yeah. She's like, she asked, how's your weekend? She goes, she thinks, better than your brother's, I hope. I mentally replied, taking in the sight of her thankfully unmarked skin. Thought that was interesting because we did note from the previous chapter that Teddy was hitting Shannon still. So it has me wondering, like, what type of abuse that Shannon, I'm not implying anything bigger, but, like, it's just interesting to think that she was able to hide it still, even at BCS. And then this is where, oh gosh, yeah. Shane is in the parking lot and Joey goes off with him. Aoife is like sick to her stomach over it, and even Shannon asks him, like, being like, I thought he was gone, and she's like, so did I. Which is interesting that I don't even know if we've seen Shannon and Aoife acknowledge him to each other before. So I feel like this is kind of monumental to see as well. So I thought that was interesting. And then Shannon's bullies come up. Aoife stands up for her, threatens to fight them, which I freaking love. She goes, maybe in time. Yeah.
Well, and maybe I love how they try to tell her, oh, mind your own business, Aoife.
Right? Yeah. Literally, it's like.
As if Aoife hasn't been running that school for years.
Right?
Like,
for real.
You mind your own business. Like, you are crazy.
Well,
they think Shannon's the threat. Like, Aoife's right there.
Could you guys imagine back in high school telling a senior when you're a freshman, mind your own business? Like,
no.
Especially to a girl that was known as a top dog, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
No. But we do actually get in the start here that Aoife's had kind of a reputation slide, right? She's known as like the boyfriend stealer. So that was at the beginning of this.
She starts that she has the scarlet letter on her.
Yeah. But she don't give it. She's like, I get to walk around kissing Joey Lynch. I don't care.
Exactly. I love that line so much. I get to kiss bad boys like Joey Lynch.
Which is like queen iconic. I also want to note here, you get another thing here. Joey knows Aoife's cycle and talks about it here.
Oh my God, yeah. Right in front of Shannon, too.
Right in front of Shannon. I'm like, the hints are here, people. The hints are
It's
hinting.
all
He knows
over
her
the
cycle.
book.
Love the conversation between Shannon and Aoife here because, like I said, we start getting Aoife more integrated into that entire relationship. And she talks about how she says here, she goes, "You didn't have to do that for me. I know. They might go after you next. I'd like to see them try. And if they go near you again, all you need to do is come and find me. It doesn't matter if I'm in class or not. Just come and find me and I'll help you, okay?" And then Shannon looks at her and goes, "Why?" "Because I love your brother, and your brother loves you. Keeping you safe is important to him, which makes it important to me." And then she's like, "You want to be my friend? Is that okay with you?" And they're like, "Yes, please." So cute.
I want to say, I think it's so smart of Chloe to include this interaction right after we got the internal monologue of, like, Aoife being like, I know I was selfish. I know I wanted, like, I know I'm wrong to just want to take him away from those kids and, like, let him get all this reprieve. But in that same breath, in that same thought process, she's showing up for Shannon the same way Joey does in a lot of ways at school, which really shows how much she's willing to throw herself into Joey's world because she knows that's what it means to be with Joey. And I just think it's really sweet. And, like, even though she's allowed to have those selfish thoughts, but she doesn't really act on them. And that's what makes her just such an amazing FMC and the perfect woman for Joey. So
I also love Chloe here because you get Joey's guilt for not being there for Tadgh, right? Mm-hmm. And he feels like it's all on his shoulders here. But now you have slowly Aoife showing that she can be there for his siblings as well. I think brilliant on Chloe Walsh's part here, the way she put this down in the storyline. So
absolutely.
Yeah, and we're going to see that even later when Joey reveals to Aoife for the first time what happened, and it breaks her. Like, yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, all right.
Olivia, would you like to take your turn?
We jump into September 1st, 2004. This is Old Habits Die Hard, and this is Joey's POV. And we get a lot here. Joey's guilt, once again, talking about he's with Shane Holland, and he knows internally that he's a piece of shite, as what he calls himself. And he says, like, hey, I've tried to stop this. I've tried, but I can't. He really internally feels like he needs this, that he needs the drugs to get him through the night. And Shane Holland is always here to kind of reinforce that belief on him. Like, hey, you need some help. I've got something that can help you, right? And even Shane tells him, was surprised to get your message last night, kid. Haven't heard from you for a while. Thought you switched suppliers or something. And so here you already know Joey is starting to backslide. And even though he has Aoife there, she is not the end all be all saving grace for Joey Lynch. She's just one layer. Joey Lynch needs to save and want to save himself. And ultimately he can't do that with Marie and Teddy in the picture, right? And we've discussed this multiple times, Ashley, that we believe that if Marie had lived, Joey would never have gotten out from under her and gotten clean. And I think you see that a lot here with this backstory.
Even with the baby, I still don't think he would have. Marie dying.
I agree.
It needed to happen.
It did. It's so sad, but it's truly the most necessary step.
It's the only way him and all of those kids were truly free.
Yeah. And you get Shane here not forcing, but he's really trying to put Joey onto the heavier drugs here, okay? So he's like, hey, I know you're in a bad way. And Joey's like, yeah, which is why this is on me, no strings. And he's like, that's not, is it? And he's like, Shane. And he's like, gear guaranteed to give you the desired effect. He's like, no, I told you I don't want heroin. And he's like, I know, but this just hits on a different level and it's cheaper too. Even though Shane had just said it's on me, kid, you know, he's like, if you want to keep doing this, FYI, it's going to be cheaper than what you've been usually paying for. And you see Joey really struggling. He's like, I don't want this. It's too risky. And Shane is encouraging him to do this. And he starts like bringing up, you're in a bad way. I know you need this. And he's like, I just need something to help get me by. And Shane tells him, I get it. Those GAA trainers are breathing down your neck. You have teachers giving you shit, and that little ride of yours has strung you up by the bollocks. You're under pressure, kid, and need a little release. I get that. They might not understand, but I do. Don't feel bad for needing a little help to get you through that bullshit you have to take from your old man. Your old man's a scumbag, kid. It's common knowledge. I'm not judging you for needing a reprieve from a bastard like that. He's trying to empathize and almost be like, hey, I know what you're going through. I understand, to get Joey to get on these drugs. Almost like a mentor figure. Like, I understand, we're in this together type of deal. And I think that behavior is so foul and manipulative and disgusting. I mean, we already know Shane Holland's a piece of trash. So yeah, he ends up snorting, and Joey says at the end, I'm disgusted with myself for my weakness.
It'll be interesting to see if we see a lot of Shane Holland in C10.
It's actually a good point. I don't know.
When Lizzie spirals, and we don't know.
Any thoughts on that chapter, ladies?
No, just that.
It's just so impressive how well Chloe writes about the pipeline of how, a little teenager smoking weed can snowball into something like this, and how much sympathy she makes me have for someone who in real life I could never picture myself doing, but it's just so real the way she writes this.
And at the same time, it's so real of this is still a young kid who is Joey is Joey, and Joey has this persona of being tough and, not giving in, and, he'll stand up to the bullies, but he does have his weaknesses here. And Shane Holland knew exactly what to say and what weak points to hit to get Joey Lynch to cave. And that's something that Joey would never want exposed, those types of weaknesses, So.
That's such a good point. Yeah. The fact that he's one of those, that's what really ends up being his Achilles heel. Is people who can expose those weaknesses in him when he's so strong to everybody else.
Expose and then identify with.
Yeah.
You're not alone in this. I'm here for you.
We come from the same terrace, kid. I've seen you grow up. I've seen what you've gone through. I'm here for you.
Yeah.
I'm a support system for you. The manipulation is real.
Yeah. Okay, Grace, September 1st, 2004, Strung out.
Oh my god, this is such a hard part, guys. Oh my god, okay. So we're back into Aoife's POV, and Joey did not make it into school, and Aoife, of course, is worried because she knew he had gone off with Shane Holland. And then so he finally makes it into school before big lunch, and he is immediately strung out. And she can tell that he's high, and he starts having a bloody nose. His eyes are bloodshot, and she starts freaking out because he has the nosebleed. And then she's like, what did you do? He says nothing, and she goes, nothing? Bullshit. What did he give you? He says, nothing. It's all good, Molly. Don't lie to me. You're completely strung out. I'm not lying, I swear. She goes, you're such a liar. Oh my god. This is so hard. Oh my gosh. And then so she pulls him out of class, immediately walks him over to her car, and really, this is the only line I have highlighted here. Joey's able to say, don't hate me, Molloy, Joey mumbled, falling into the passenger seat the moment I let him go to open the car door. You're all I have to wake up for in the morning. So for Joey to say such eloquent words, even in the throes of a high off of something he hasn't done before, just really hits you. I don't even know how else to say it. It's so emotional.
Yeah. Another important line that I have here, and it goes back to what I was saying about the previous one, is Joey's first line is when she's like, you look like you've been crying. And he says, I don't cry. Because he doesn't want to be, once again, perceived as weak. Right?
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good catch.
So, just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because we know this is the beginning of everything. Okay, Ashley, September 1st. 2004.
Right, back to the doghouse. We are in Joey's POV, and this is when he wakes up after his latest little drug stint, and he is naked and in Aoife's bedroom, which is a scene we've seen before, and she literally says, so he lives. And they talk about it, apparently he destroyed her room, and she says, don't even think about lying to me. If you saw what came out of your body, what I had to clean off of you, then you'd know that lying is pointless. And then Joey just said, I had a slip, and But he says, I'm not going to make excuses. There's no excusing it. And, you know, she's like, her voice is thick with emotion. She's really upset. And then this is where Joey basically tells her what had happened to Tadgh earlier that day. And she's like, he's a child. Like, he's a little kid. Like, she is absolutely taken back by this. And, you know, Joey's just like, it doesn't matter. Abusive alcoholics see no age or gender. All they see is a punching bag to take aim at when the notion strikes them. But then he's like, don't pity me. That's not what I want from you. Not ever. But yeah, this is just, you know, we've said this before. This is a lot of what happens with Joey and Aoife is Joey goes on a really bad drug trip and then he ends up in Aoife's care. And she is upset and says, I can't keep doing this, but she will continue to keep doing this.
And she also says here to him, like, hey, we could leave here. We could get out of here, right? She's like, we could just get out of here. And he says, I can't leave them, Molloy. And in his mind, he says, I'm not my brother. I have to stay. Once again, that guilt and that pressure. He doesn't want to be seen as, because he felt abandoned by Darren. He doesn't want them to feel what he felt with Darren, you know? Mm-hmm. So just hard. Then we jump into September 1st, 2004, and this is Aoife's point of view. I think this chapter pretty much encompasses exactly who Aoife is and why she will always continue to stand by Joey Lynch's side, right? She says here, I never wanted to experience a day like today ever again. There were no words to describe the level of helplessness that I had felt when I watched Joey soar and then roughly crash and burn. I could see the red flags shooting up in every direction. Problem was, I was too in love to take heed, right? This is Aoife's entire theme in Saving and Redeeming 6, right? And she does say that him telling her about Tadgh and the father was a monumental breakthrough in their relationship. She feels like he wouldn't have talked about that before. And she doesn't want to walk away. And it ends with, no matter what, I would be right beside him, ready to pull him back to safety, even if it meant that I lost myself in the process. Oof. And that's a toxic relationship. Like, you read these and you're like, from an outsider perspective, if this was my best friend, I'd be like, that is not healthy. Like, I don't care how in love you are, you can't lose yourself in somebody to save them. And ultimately, we know her doing that is not going to save Joey Lynch. It's just hurting her in the process as well, you know?
I'll give the parental perspective here as someone whose teenager has recently started dating. This is not what you want for your kid. You know, first of all, teenage dating is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be stress-free. Honestly, it's really supposed to be the easiest dating time in your life because there's no bills to pay. No one has kids, hopefully. You know, all of that stuff. This is not anything a parent would want for their child. And we talked about this in Keeping 13. You know, when the night of the fire, when Aoife is in her pajamas, pregnant, breaking down in the street, no mother or father wants that for their child.
And no good friend wants that either, you know?
Mm-mm. Aren't these the same words that she fed to her mom in second year? I don't want to lose myself in a guy, something like that.
It is. Mm-hmm. Great catch, Grace.
Here she is becoming that person that she said she didn't want to become.
You're 100% right. This is word for word exactly what she said to her mom that she did not want. That's why she didn't want to fall in love and whatnot. And here she is already on that merry-go-round, that generational cycle, right? Because we saw her mom stays with Tony, right? Yeah. This is all, you are a product of how you are raised mostly, unfortunately.
Good catch.
So, go for it, Grace. September 18th, 2004.
After a really, really heavy moment of Joey falling, we see him pulled back, and it's Aoife's 18th birthday. And do want to call out, they're having a birthday party at the Dinneman, and they're playing Mr. Brightside, triggering song.
It is
in this series, but here it's a happy moment. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. What?
Great parallel here, because we always talk about how the happy moments for Joey Aoife are sad moments for Hugh Liz.
They're the inverse. Yeah, once again.
They're the inverse of each other. So you get that right here.
Yeah, this is like right after a really heavy moment for Joey, and he's up again, and Liz and Hugh's story, it's right after a heavy moment and Lizzie's down again. Like, quite literally, two could not be more opposite ends of the spectrum there. So yeah, very interesting that that song is monumental to both those things. So yeah, Aoife and Kevin's 18th birthday, which I think it's so funny how much it's like Aoife, everyone's there for Aoife basically. Oh my gosh. So I did highlight here Aoife saying in her internal monologue, as weird as it sounded, and even though I was still plenty mad about the whole ordeal, Joey getting high and puking all over the walls of my bedroom had unintentionally brought us closer. Been on his best behavior since, with his try mode reactivated. I love that, the try mode. Trying is such an important word in Joey and Aoife's books, so always like notice when that's being used. And Shane's number deleted from his phone, courtesy of yours truly. Her mom goes, I could see the cheeks of your ass when you were dancing earlier. And she goes, no, you couldn't, because if you would actually see what's on my ass, you'd have dragged me off the dance floor. She goes, what's on your ass? She goes, nothing. I just thought that was so funny.
Joey Lynch's name.
Yeah. I have nothing to deep dive here, except I just love them. They're so funny. So I highlighted that, sorry.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just having fun, getting drunk with Casey, and then telling her mom that they're both rides.
I know, I love how...
I couldn't imagine. Like, I love my mom, I'm close with her, but...
No, I would never talk to my mom like this. And her and Casey right in front of each other, like, you're the biggest ride, and then her mom's like, you're both full of yourself.
Never. Could never. But also, I love hearing that Casey's like, so I love that how close your dad and Joey are, because it's noted that they're over talking to each other. And he was like, yeah, it's great while he's bromancing my dad, but he's not romancing me.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, because then he's like, Casey's like, is tonight finally the night?
Tonight the night? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that observation from them. Yeah, they're just so cute, and I just love a good Aoife and Casey moment here. So yeah, we're at the Denman celebrating. And then yeah, Ashley, I'll let you take it from here and we jump into Joey's perspective.
Happy 18th Molloy. Yeah, this is just really short. Like, you know, he's turned on, he loves her. I want to point out...
Summarizes them.
I'm sorry, I want to point out, just because, you know, once again, I see this on TikTok, I see it on Twitter. For someone who is supposedly besties, I noticed there is someone absent from this birthday party.
You're 100% correct.
And I checked the indie version. I checked this person is not at the party. And I'm sorry, but if they are besties for the resties, why are you not at a party, a birthday party?
Can I also point out that this is September 2004. We know Liz and Hugh start reconnecting because she goes to his birthday October 2004. Maybe that one person doesn't want to leave a certain curly-haired blonde boy alone, so she ignores her friend's birthday.
Snippets have alluded to the fact that Katie was not happy that Liz came back to school.
Yeah. So maybe she doesn't want to leave someone's side because she's worried about...
I'm sorry, the haters are going to clip this and put it on Twitter, but I'm just saying, for people that are they're besties...
Hi, Twitter.
They'll come for me, don't worry. They'll come for me. They'll be like...
The bestie's not at the party.
That 50-year-old woman again. I'm like...
And once again, we see it happen with both Aoife's birthday and Casey's birthday. Two very important points. Yeah.
They're supposed besties for the resties, right?
Yeah, I don't even know if that was intentional on Chloe's part. It probably is, knowing how Chloe is. But yeah, it's...
And this is her 18th birthday.
This is her 18th birthday. Like, this is a whole huge. Her parents rented out the Dinneman.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I'm just a hater.
There's plenty of room in that Dinneman. There's plenty of room.
I'm gonna be paying very close attention to this date when I read Claiming Time now. Good call out, Ashley.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's actually great, Ashley. I didn't pick that up either. Good call.
Yeah, neither did I.
Just especially this week after the casting news, they're like, guys, they are best friends. Like,
I know.
She's not even at the birthday party.
No.
Yeah.
Right, and then Olivia, we want to take it away for the very next day.
Yeah, so this is September 19th, 2004, and it's flying high and falling low. So obviously what Aoife was expecting didn't happen yet. And she's talking to Joey. She's like, are you okay? And he's like, once again, this is Aoife's birthday, and her main focus is on Joey Lynch and if he is okay, right? And yet this is supposed to be an epic moment in her time, but all of her thoughts are on him. She's like, are you sure? And he's like, it's all good. So then they put play on the random CD, and Brittany's every time.
Such a
guys
love it.
I remember
love that
fighting with
song.
my boyfriend and putting Every Time on and being like, just sitting in my room, like crying, like every time. It's like such a song, and it's such a Joey and Aoife song. If you listen to the lyrics, like
It
it's
really
her
is.
losing herself.
Yeah.
It's like, oh God. And he's like, I don't love you. And he's like, I don't love you back. So she's like, talk to me. And he's like, I'm not sad. I'm just worried about my family, you know, sisters and brothers. He doesn't like being away from them for long because of what's happened before in the past. And she asks him, hey, do you want to go home? And he's like, no, leaving this room is the last thing I want to do. She's like, stay right here with me. I need you too, Joe. I need you safe and unharmed. And the only way I can make sure that happens is if you stay right here with me. She's like, I do. I need you. I need you to stay right here with me because if you leave me now, I won't be able to breathe until I see you. It's so beautiful. And so eventually she's like, please stay. And he's like, okay, I will. And then later that night, as we lay in bed, they're facing each other. She's like, I did, you know. And he's like, you know what? Get you a present. And she smiles and she's like, yeah. He rolls out from under the covers and reaches into his jeans. He's like, it's not Joey. Such a Joey line. It's not as flashy as anything you're used to from Ricey. Joey, you didn't have to mention that. And he gets her. Oh my God. He tosses a small black jewelry box onto the mattress between us, along with a half-melted packet of Rolo.
Yummy.
Thanks,
They were waiting in
Mips.
there all night.
Anyway, he gives her a locket with the date. It's August 30th, 1999 on the front. It's always weird reading these dates because it's not written in the American way,
Yeah.
you know?
Sure.
So I'm like, what month is the 30th? That month doesn't exist. And he says, when I say I don't love you, it's the furthest thing from the truth. Love. He was talking about loving me. It's okay, Joe. I'm used to your denial by now. I already know how you feel. He says, I just don't know how to not do it. Reject human affection. And she's like, it's okay. We can handle the words the same way we handle sex. Except in this instance, you set the pace and I'll fall in line. Which is exactly what Joey Lynch needs to hear. Especially for something as big as that. Yeah, beautiful. I love when they're good, they're fucking great, you guys. Yeah, I can point out how problematic they are all day long, but then I'm like, shit, I still love them together.
I just love how all 4 male POVs we've had so far in this series, they all walk like dogs for their girls. All of them.
Yep. 100%. I'm wearing my Joey Aoife necklace and I have a little locket charm on here for that.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Beautiful, beautiful.
I wear this like every day.
Hey,
If you couldn't tell.
valid. Absolutely valid. Grace, before you get into the next chapter, I do want to point out, I think this is a little Easter egg because it's October 3rd, 2004, and 2004 is the year Mean Girls came out.
I do love that. October 3rd.
Uh-huh. In
Yeah,
fact,
there you go.
my last reread I put, and on October 3rd, he asked me what day it was.
Is it a Wednesday in the book too?
No.
Oh, that would have been fun.
No, I mean, I checked. 2004, October 3rd was not a Wednesday.
Oh, okay. Mean Girls lied to us. That's great. It's been a whole lie our entire lives. What the heck?
Wow.
Right?
That's
Let me
crazy.
verify that, but I think I did look it up when I read this chapter, and I'm like, oh. And then I was like, wait, October 3rd?
What about October 3rd, 2003 when they were filming it, probably?
Let's check that.
That's really important.
It's important knowledge to know.
Please,
For
please
us
subscribe
millennials.
to subscribe to
No.
Tired Witches for deep diving of the Mean Girls
2003.
timeline.
2003, October 3rd was a Friday. 2004,
it's way off.
It was a Sunday.
Yeah,
In
it's way off.
2005, it was a Monday.
Okay.
Wow.
What are we doing here?
Illusion shattered.
Maybe Mean Girls takes place in an alternate reality.
I need to have a word with Tina Fey. Jeez.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You know what? It's a good thing that Tina Fey has us around to correct the timelines of these things for her.
I know the Mean Girls timeline better than Tina Fey does, so
You're welcome, Tina Fey.
yeah.
We're here to correct you.
We're here to deep dive.
October
Take it
3rd,
away.
Grace.
I am so glad that this worked out, that I got this chapter, because this is quite literally one of my favorite moments in Boys of Tommen of all time. Top 5, maybe top 3. I cry when I just think about it. So let's get into it. Coffee with Marie, October 3rd, 2004. We're in Aoife's POV here, and Aoife has somehow coerced Joey into finally bringing her home as his girlfriend, basically. And Joey says, every instinct I have inside me is demanding that I get you as far away from the well as possible. She was saying, I know my heart broke. This wasn't easy for him. In fact, this was quite possibly the most riled up I'd seen him behave in a while. It was unsettling, and I offered him a reassuring squeeze. I didn't flinch or shy away. Aoife says, I didn't flinch or shy away when I said, I want to look that bastard in the eyes and show him that you have someone ready and willing to go to war both with you and for you. I think that's a really interesting line, because we do see her, like, go eye to eye with Teddy later in this book. And she's, like, just not back down, and it preludes some events, so it's interesting. And then Joey's saying, don't make me do this, Aoife. He whispered to him, begging. His plea hurt because he used my first name, and that meant he was reaching out to tell me just how serious he was. But somehow she talked him into it. So they come into the house. Joey makes sure that Teddy's not home, it's just Marie. And Joey introduces Aoife to his mom and says, go. I remember you were the girl with Joey's school bag. Yeah, that's me. Joey goes, Aoife's my girlfriend, which I think this is the first time he really acknowledged it. So he says it in that one chapter that they go to dinner with the parents, like, oh, my boss's daughter is my girlfriend, but this is the second time we really see it happen. Now I know this is your girlfriend. And then Marie asks, so this relationship been going on for a long time? And immediately, I love this part. Joey goes, you could say that. Even as Aoife tried to give the real story, Joey's like, you could say that. And is it serious? She looked at her son. Are you serious about her? And he goes, you could say that, was all he replied. But it caused my heart to hammer with pure, unadulterated joy. He wasn't denying how he felt. He didn't play it down or brush it under the rug. You could say that was all but a declaration of love when it came to this boy, which I really love. Then Tadgh comes downstairs, and Joey needs to play head of the household again because there's some plumbing issues going on. So we see Joey go upstairs to go fix it and be the handyman, and we are left with Aoife and Marie alone in the kitchen, which becomes a very harrowing conversation. She says, he doesn't do much of that, Mrs. Lynch said, flicking her cigarette ash into the already overflowing ashtray in front of her. At least not these days. Much of what? I replied. Smile, she clarified. He doesn't smile often. She goes, he's smiling a lot more lately, I told her. More than he used to, at least. You must mean a great deal to my son. I hope so. He's never brought a girl home before now. And then she asked, are you being safe? Is he protecting you? And she goes, I'm on the pill, but we're not sleeping together. And she goes, be safe. Protect yourself if he won't. And then she says, he always keeps me safe, Mrs. Lynch. Your son is an amazing person. And she goes, my son is a loose cannon, just like his father was at this age. Yeah, that's not even close to being true, I shot back heatedly, her words irking me. Joey is nothing like your husband. Surprise filled her eyes. Yeah, I bit out, staring right back at her. I have eyes. I know what happens in this house. You don't know anything, she whispered. I know a lot more than you think, so don't you dare tar Joey with the same brush as him. This is a really crazy moment. Aoife just looking Marie in the eyes, being like, how fucking dare you? That man is not Teddy. How dare you try to tell me that he is on our first encounter of me coming in here as his girlfriend? It's just the fact that she is standing there in the kitchen with her back straight, looking her in the eyes, just is such an incredible moment for this teenage girl to be able to do this.
Well, I think also, if we could backtrack just a little bit, I think it's fascinating here. When you first get Aoife introduced to Marie, the first thing Aoife's like, I've heard so much about you. Joey says such lovely things about you. The first thing out of Marie's mouth is, I wish I could say the same. I heard nothing about you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first things out of her mouth. In my opinion, this is very classic narcissistic mother technique, as boy mom technique. She knows that she's losing Joey to another woman here, and therefore she's now going to try to put a barrier between Joey and Aoife, but she's going to do it in the most manipulative way as possible, as I'm looking out for you because I know my son better than you will, and I've been in this situation, so I'm just concerned about you because he's not a good person. while she knows that Joey has always been there for her. Joey has gotten beat and bruised for her. He was in the hospital while she gave birth, while Teddy was not there. And yet she has the absolute, I hate this bitch. So you guys know how I get when I get on that roller coaster about how much I hate Marie Lynch. She is one of the most vile, disgusting pieces of trash. And in my opinion, it's almost worse than Teddy because she comes across as this fake, pretentious, I'm doing this out of love. She says here, I love my son. No, you don't.
No, and I do want to note that she uses the exact same tone and way of speaking with Aoife about Joey that she does with Shannon about Johnny. Like, it's this very sad whispering, like, no, you think you know him, you think he's good, but he's gonna turn on you. It's the exact same thing she did with Shannon in the 13 duet.
Yeah, it makes me think of that like moment where like Johnny like drops her off and then they're all back in the kitchen and like Shannon's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? And Marie's just like talking to herself, ignoring everyone, going, I did the right thing.
Yes.
Like literally is like completely tuned out from reality because she's like deluded herself.
I guess she has trauma, but it's like the fact that she does this with her own son and then her daughter with her daughter's partner who is amazing. She has jealousy. Like,
she's jealous of her children getting what she feels like she deserved and she didn't get.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that before. I had a mother like this, right? Who, when I went through one of my biggest breakups in my life, my grandmother was really there and supportive for me. And I was like bad. And my mother, I'll never forget, while my grandma was helping me, I was staying at my grandma's house, my mom looked at my grandma and said right in front of me, you never gave a shit about me when I was going through breakups. And it's like this weird unhinged jealousy that you feel that your child is getting something that you didn't get. Instead of being happy for your child. She even says to Aoife here, I don't see him smile that often. You know your son is happy with this girl, and yet you cannot just be happy for him and be supportive.
See, as a parent myself, you want better for your kids.
You would think.
When I come across real life people that are jealous of their kids, it is wild to me. It's like you created these people.
It's so unfortunate because it is something that happens quite often. You know, especially in this society, in this world today, where we do have a lot of parents who are narcissistic, who do put themselves first above their children. And I do really want to thank Chloe Walsh for putting parents like this at the forefront here, because it is a relatable experience that's not talked about enough, you know, because parents get to say, I love my child all they want, but there's always that a lot of these parents are jealous of their children.
Or selfish. You know, we'll really get into it with Gibbsy's story, but I think Chloe in general just does a great job at showing the different faults to each parent, because, you know, there are different types of faults parents can have, and what can look like an amazing mother to the outside world is actually very selfish and puts her man above her kid, which is also a common thing in real life.
Okay, Grace, you can go ahead and keep going here. This is a longer chapter. This is one of the longer ones so far.
I know. And like I said, I'm really glad I have this because it's one of my favorites, but that was definitely worth pausing and debriefing because, that is monumental to Joey and Aoife. This conversation's tough. Anyway, Marie goes on to tell Aoife, she talks about all the ways that she believes that Joey and Teddy are alike. And then just remember that protectiveness can switch to possessiveness in the blink of an eye. This is so manipulative. Headstrong can switch to commanding, and recklessness can lead to more than just addiction. You do know that, don't you? And she goes, no, what? And immediately, she looked so sad when she said that my son has an ongoing battle with addiction. Like, literally what Olivia was just referring to. It's like, she's like twisting the knife right now, trying to manipulate her and like scare Aoife away because she wants Joey to herself. And then so Aoife goes, he used to. But thinking about, I corrected, thinking about how good of a handle Joey had gotten on things since his slit back in September. He's okay now though. And she goes, you don't really believe that. Someone like my son with the kind of habit that's been going on for as many years as it has, can't make it go away overnight. He will never want you more than he wants his next fix, Aoife. That's the sad truth of my son's life. And she goes, "You're wrong." And she goes, "I wish with all my heart that I was, but I know I'm not. It's only one flick of the switch away at any given time. And if I could give you one piece of advice, it would be to run for cover before my son explodes like his father and you're swallowed up in the riptide." Stunned, I gaped at the woman in front of me and just shook my head. How could she think about her son like that? How could she have so little faith in him? I'm really trying hard to think of something diplomatic to say to you, but I'm coming up empty. How can you say that about your own flesh and blood? You're supposed to be his mother. I am his mother, and that's how I know he will break you. He'll chip away at your heart. He'll break you because that's all he knows. That's all he's ever known. And Aoife even said, "He loves you so much, and you speak so badly about him." And then she goes, I love my son, Aoife. I do. I have 6 children, and make no mistake when I tell you that I love each one of them equally." Lies. But there's only one of my children that frightens me. Only one of my children is the walking reincarnation of his father. So it's just quite literally twisting the knife over and over again. And the fact that Aoife just takes all this and again stays headstrong is incredible. And this is when Joey walks back into the room. There's a lot that we just unpacked there. Did you guys want to add anything else on to that?
Not really. It's still a lot with what I had to say before.
I figured.
Yeah, just...
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to double check.
Classic manipulation, just playing the victim.
100%. Yeah, and bringing up his addiction and throwing it out there, and it's just so gross.
Trying to scare off the one happy thing in her son's life right now.
Yeah. It's like, this is truly like the one saving grace, the one light in my son's life. Let me go ahead and just
she did it with Shannon too, and it's like we just talked about jealousy. I wonder too if she also sees it. They have a way out of here.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, that's totally how I'm taking it.
These people are their key out of here.
Who else?
Darren left. So
yeah, who else is gonna protect Marie when she's being beat up by Tadgh again? Like, because we even wasn't it in the last deep dive where like Joey heard Marie screaming literally screams out Joey's name from downstairs when she's being beat up by Tadgh to get Joey to come protect her. She doesn't want to lose that.
No.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Anyway, Joey's back in the room, and then Shannon comes in too, and then they get, like, Joey and Marie get into it very briefly because Joey fixed the problem, was completely able to diagnose it, and Marie just throws it back in Joey's face. I'm gonna have your father look at it. Like, just not trusting Joey to be the head of the household, and, like, belittling him in front of Aoife, which is really fucked up, but also in a very expected tone given the conversation that they just had. But Aoife stays strong, and then we were just about to go, she, like, says we were just about to go up to his room, and then she says, yeah, nodding, I squeezed his hand and smiled, letting his mother know that her words had fallen on deaf ears. I would only ever leave this boy if I was dragged from him, kicking and screaming. You were. I highlighted that because she quite literally gets dragged from him, kicking and screaming. So, lots of foreshadowing. Very true. So yeah, and now we are entering one of my favorite moments in this series.
I do want to say before we get to the happy moment, I actually think Marie's intention of, I always have to look at this from my psychological standpoints. I've got to put my degree to work here. I actually think it's not here trying to belittle Joey as not being man of the household. I actually think it's something much deeper and sinister on Marie's part here when she says, I'll have your father look at it. Because Aoife, right before this, called out what a piece of her husband was. And instead, she's trying to put on an act that, no, he helps around the house. He is important. He is good. Like, no, he can handle this too. I think it's more of that she's putting on than trying to belittle Joey himself. Is she's trying to save face.
I agree with that. Good clock. Yeah. Because even normal families, you mask when you're around public. You know, you don't want people.
She just got called out by a teenager.
Yeah.
She just called out by a teenager, and she wants to, like, no, my husband is good. He can help around the house. No, he. And that's why when Joey's like, he doesn't know what the hell he is. She's like, I'm still gonna have him do it. No, he can do it. He can do it. No, he is. It's more trying to prop Tadgh up as being useful to the family.
That's a really good point. Yeah, because Aoife did, again, be like, I have eyes, I see what's happening in this house. And Marie's like, you don't know what you're talking about. So she's like, let me just prove to you, Marie, you're so pathetic. I'm sorry.
Such trash bag.
You could never make me like you.
Never, ever.
Ever. All right.
You think I'm number one hater of Katie? I'm number one hater of Marie Lynch, okay?
Yeah, no, for
Say
real.
that.
For real. Oof. Alrighty. So
Olivia, they're gonna clip that on Twitter. They're comparing Katie to.
I was just gonna say that. She compared Katie to Marie Lynch. That's not what I fucking did.
that's insane.
Just,
Exactly what
last
you're
deep
saying.
dive. We all make sure to really talk about Joey also being essayed. We get clipped to Twitter. They have no respect for male essay. Let's just gloss right over it. Okay.
Like, truly. Gosh, cannot listen to a deep dive with nuance. It's called a deep dive for a reason. Anyway, I don't need to get into that. All right, so we're up in Joey's room. And this is the first time Aoife has been up there. And immediately we see Joey says, "Don't ask," was all he muttered when he dragged a chest of drawers across the room and set it in front of the locked door. So he's doing the thing that he does even with his own siblings. He's like setting up guards for his room so that they have privacy. It's more than privacy, though. It's more safety than anything, especially because he doesn't know where Teddy is at the moment. He just knows he's not home. And Aoife goes, "I won't," I whispered, watching as he kept his back to me with his head bowed and his hands resting on the chest of drawers. "I shouldn't have brought you here. I'm glad you did." He goes, "Be real here, Molloy." He has started pain breath, still giving me his back. "My life is a fucking mess." Yeah, it was. I couldn't deny it. Everything about this home and the people inside it screamed messy. Still, I chose to remain right here, playing with fire and willing to get burned. "Talk to me. Tell me what you're thinking right now." And he goes, "I'm mad. I'm pissed the fuck off." "With me? Yes. For making you bring me here? Yes. Do you want to talk about it? No. Because you're afraid you'll blow up? Yes." "Okay," I replied calmly. "Then you be mad at me for as long as you need." I love that. She's like, "All right, you be mad. I'm just going to hang out here while you blow off your steam, whatever you need to do." And then she notes about how clean Joey's room is. I thought that was really interesting, showing about how, like, we saw that, like, she observes him working with her father, about how, like, organized he is and meticulous. Anyway, forcing myself to ignore several makeshift bunks scattered around his bedroom. The bunks, sorry, I thought of bunk bed theory. Shout out to the Discord. If you know, you know. Oh my gosh, I could make a whole video on my bunk bed theory, but I won't. I let my gaze land on the big-ass stereo in the corner of the room, and I honed in on it. Flicking through a bunch of CDs, I waited until he was ready to talk it out. And then he says, "I don't want your pity." She says, "Tough, it's already yours." "Good," I said, "because you don't have it." So she's saying, you have my pity, but then telling him you don't. Putting some music on, I slid my chosen disc, Damien Rice's O album, into the CD player, and then browsed through the listing on the back of the case till I found the number of the track I wanted to play, Delicate. I pressed play, and then clicked the repeat button, knowing that this was exactly the song I wanted playing when I made my next move. I love this moment so much.
What is that next move? What is that next move?
What are you doing, Aoife girl? And for reading this for the first time, you are so surprised to see this coming, I guess. Like, this is like the last way you would have expected this to happen, and the fact that Aoife chose this moment after she had just looked Joey's mothers in the eyes, told her and like was not gonna back down, goes into Joey's room for the first time. It's so beautiful. Anyway, so Aoife says, "I'm not playing any games, Joe, I swear." And then she undresses and says, "I want this." And she's finally asking Joey to take her virginity. And Joey's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? We're at my house. We're at this awful place. He's like, "No, you don't want this. Trust me. And especially not here." And she goes, "Yes, Joey, I do. And it has to be here." He looked so lost when he choked out the word. "Why?" And she goes, "Because I want to put one good memory of this house in your head." I could cry right now.
Yeah, it's
such a
so beautiful and heartbreaking at the same time, because you know how important this is to Joey. And it's not that taking her virginity is important. It's that having a happy moment in his childhood home where it's only been I'm gonna cry, where it's only been bad moments is what's important to him.
And in this home where Joey has been hit and abused and hurt in more ways, for him to be touched in a way that's affectionate and be given affection, not be rejected from it, to be given that intimacy and that protection and that safety from the woman that he loves, is such an important moment for him. And this is just everything that I love about them as a couple. Like, Aoife just represents so much safety to him. I think a lot about how Joey's love language is physical touch, and I know that's such a cheesy thing to say because it's every man's love language. But for Joey especially, that touch is so healing to him because it's like undoing all the damage that has been done to him from his parents and from Aoife. Like he says at several points in their books, like her touch is like the one thing that does not make him shudder, you know? So for Aoife to come into Joey's childhood home and walk right into the fire, right into the mess of his life and say, I want to give you a good memory in this house is so beautiful. And I do want to touch on, I think that a lot of people bring up the parallel of Johnny and Shannon's first time and about how like Shannon really wants her first moment with Johnny to be in this house and Johnny says, I refuse to do it for you here. And it's just interesting because for Shannon it was important to not be there, but it's like the inverse of that for Joey. I think it is important just because of what he has had to deal with in this household and their ways of coping with what happened in that home. I just think it's really interesting that for Joey, he needed that and Shannon needed the opposite. So yeah, this is just such a beautiful moment. Do you guys have any more thoughts to share on that line or anything?
I don't. I think this is probably one of the most powerful scenes. And I also want to say that at the end of this, he does finally admit that he loves her. You know, another powerful, powerful moment. A lot of the discourse in the fandom comes between, especially with Liz and Hugh, that their first time has to be romantic. But even here, it's not an overtly romantic moment for Joey and Aoife. It is still encased in a history of trauma, abuse, and sadness. And she's trying to take a memory that is devastating for him and turn it into something good. It is not candles. It is not romance. That is not Joey and Aoife. That is not Johnny and Shannon. That is not Lizzie and Hughie. That is not even Gibbsy and Claire, right? None of these couples, and in real life, it is so rare to get that moment of the first time being candles. And it's so cliche. And I actually find it undermines a couple and the trauma and their past that they've been through together if you tone it down to something as cliche and cheesy as that, honestly. So I appreciate Chloe Walsh with how honest and raw she is with all of these couples and when it comes to developing their relationship and their first times together.
Yeah, it's not about having a most perfect like moment. It's just about having showing up as your like most raw, vulnerable self in that moment, and that's like what all these couples mean to each other.
Well, and let's be honest, what teenage first time is
that's what I was saying.
All these romantic candles and everything. It
happens, I'm sure, but it's not the normal thing, honestly. Mm-hmm. Grace, raise your hand. Did you have flowers and roses on your first time? Ashley, raise your hand. Do you have flowers and roses on your first time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not either. So all three, no, that's 0 for 3 here. That's 0% out of the 3 of us here. None of us had that moment. So
no, mine was so messy. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into it. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not. Mine wasn't great. So you know, it is what it is. Like, that's unfortunately like that's life. And it's not unfortunate. It's literally just what life is. If it's not a movie, it's not a romance novel. And to try to turn it into it, to downplay, I don't like it. So I'm very grateful that a lot of these couples don't end up in that cliche, cheesy, corny mess.
If you want my opinion, I think probably Claire and Gibbsy's was the most realistic.
Oh my god. Gibbsy had a panic attack and blacked out the entire time.
Yeah, that...
Like, homeboy couldn't even breathe.
That's such a Gibbsy thing, dude. So, how a Gibbsy would react to that moment, too. It's so funny.
For real.
Ford Ashley, October 3rd, 2004. Joey's point of view.
All right, so this is when Joey is walking Aoife home after that night. You know, they make a joke about her walking bow-legged, which I think is a common joke that we make to each other after losing virginity or just having, you know, a wild night in general. But just not a lot happening here. They're walking home, and then she does mention, what do you want to do on your birthday for Christmas and everything like that. But, you know, they then, she says, I'm glad that I waited. It meant more with you. And then he goes, what was I supposed to say to that? We both knew I couldn't say the same. And then blowing out a breath, I went with the truth and said, it never meant anything before you.
Still that's like perfect, Joey. That's perfect what to say.
But then as classic Joey and Aoife, she ends it with, you're a sweet slut.
Sweet slut.
I love that I get this next chapter. Thanks, guys. Even though I'm the one who plays refereeing all this. October 18th, 2004. I know exactly who I'm talking to. This is Aoife's point of view. And Joey hasn't shown up at school, so she goes to his house. And from here, she walks right into his house, and who's there? Well, it's Joey's father. And he says, back like a bad smell. You're here so often, you should start paying fucking rent. She says, asshole. And she's like, funny, I could say the same thing about you. His eyes narrowed. I'm like, clock that shit. Clock. She doesn't stand down. Not to Marie, not to Teddy. She's like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to call you on your shit. And that's what I love about this girl. And he's like, what did you say to me? And she's like, only that you're here enough that you should be contributing instead of having your teenage son shoulder your dead weight. He immediately says, you cheeky little whore. Who the f*** do you think you're talking to? And she says, oh, I know exactly who I'm talking to. Now, is Joey here or not? He's like, no. He's down at the station with the other one. Can't even say her name. Can't even say Shannon's name. Disgusting. She goes, the guard station? Why? And he's like, he doesn't even care about it. He's like, he's missing an important training session. Then she goes, what happened to Shannon? Some young ones gave her a hiding on the way to school. There was no emotion in his voice, no affection or concern. He truly doesn't care about his daughter, about any of his children. And she goes, that girl has never brought anything but a hassle to her mother. Notices how he takes no responsibility as being a parent to Shannon. It's disgusting. She doesn't bother to say goodbye, and she's going and walking to her car. And unfortunately, we get our first foreshadowing moment here of how disgusting. We know how bad Teddy Lynch is, but how far he's willing to go here in this moment. You know, he called out after me. If you ever get tired of letting my young fella, you could always let his old man show you how it's really done. She says, no thanks. That young fella of yours is more than capable of keeping me satisfied. Prick tease.
Gee, Teddy, I'm so sorry that the 18-year-old turned you down.
Your son's girlfriend.
Teenage girlfriend. Yeah, what a tease, all right.
It's interesting, you pointing out her age just made me realize, like, we had that moment where she first came over and he was, like, looking at her in all the wrong ways, but he just straight out propositioned her now.
Yeah, he just put it all out on the table.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's one of the most repulsive and vile things. And like being an 18-year-old girl, I'm very fortunate that at that time I had a long-term boyfriend and I loved his family loved me. I never had to deal with disgusting. I couldn't even imagine how I would have reacted if my boyfriend's father said this to me. Like, I couldn't even imagine how terrified I would feel because you have to be around this man. Not wanting to tell your boyfriend, because especially Joey, knowing how Joey would react, right? Like, Aoife Molloy is stronger than we give her credit for. That's the bottom line.
I always think of real life families, you know, they always talk about, like, the creepy uncle you're not allowed to be around. I never had that. You know, I can acknowledge I was very privileged to grow up in a big family on both sides, and my sister and I were not warned, you can't be alone with this male family member.
I didn't have that either, fortunately. But
that's not the case for a lot of people. A lot of people are told, hey, you can't be alone with Uncle so-and-so, or you can't be alone with Grandpa. Like,
yeah. Next one, go for it, Grace. Right back at you, girl.
I probably will go through this one a little bit quickly. This is just a really sweet Joey and Shannon moment. Joey has taken Shannon out to eat after they had to go to the Garda station for Shannon getting attacked again. I do want to point out about how he's like making her eat, because Joey says, when I didn't feel well, I self-medicated. When my sister didn't feel well, she starved herself half to death. We see that through Shannon's POV. Her reaction to stress was as real to her as mine was to me, but that didn't make it easy for me to sit back and watch, especially when everything inside of me demanded that I fix this, that I fix her. I couldn't blame her for feeling the way she did. Anyway, so Joey and Shannon are sitting down having a nice chat. Shannon's asking Joey, like, do you think that they'll leave me alone now? And he says yes, even though this is actually really important. Yeah, Shan, It's going to get better, I promise. The instant the word promise came out of my mouth, Shannon smiled at me, and I knew that I'd fed the demon of insecurity that lived inside of her just long enough to keep it at bay for a while. That's a very, very important word to Shannon. Just promise to Shannon is trying to Aoife, for real. All right. And then so Shannon starts asking Joey about Aoife. Talks about how all the boys talk about her, how she's like one of the prettiest girls at school. Asks them how long they've been together, if they're in love. Yeah, and then Shannon asks him, what's it like being in love? And then he was like, it's like you get your ass handed to you by exposing yourself to this person. You know that you're fucking around on the edge of something that could potentially break and ruin you, but it's just so damn thrilling, so consumingly addicting. They're willing to take the risk and do just about anything to be with that person. And then I do want to point out, Shannon says, is Aoife the reason, you're not hanging out with Shane Holland anymore? And Joey says, she's certainly the reason I've become so good at hiding it. So we think that Joey has, Aoife thinks that he's been clean since the September slip, but this just reveals to us that he potentially hasn't been. And he says, yeah, Shan, I said, feeling like a piece of shit. She is. So, yeah, just a little conversation between Joey and Shannon that really is, again, showing the cracks happening in the household. But yeah, I will go ahead and pass it over to you, Ashley, for the next one.
All right, then we jump to Halloween. Stay with me. All right, it is very important to note that obviously Halloween is Hughie's birthday. This is a birthday. We have no idea what is happening. Now, also, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Johnny get his injury around Halloween? Surgery around Christmas.
Halloween was the last time he had been intimate with Bella. Or something like
that. Okay, Halloween was something with Johnny. Okay.
They got, actually, wait. They got in a fight outside of Biddy's, I think.
Which Aoife and Joey were at Biddy's that night.
Interesting, yeah.
Guys, I've speculated Hughie's birthday 2004 was going to be some interesting stuff. Clearly there's stuff happening on the other side of town.
Yeah.
All right, so anyway, Aoife does mention that she kept Joey company while they took the little brothers out trick-or-treating. Then they spent the rest of the night at Biddy's doing shots and having fun with friends. And then we flash forward to basically later that night, and they're in Joey's room being intimate, and Teddy is being an absolute douchebag on the other side of the door, basically banging, get that slut out, that whore. And Aoife's just like, focus on me. And that's really what this chapter is them being intimate while Teddy's being a dillhole.
Yeah. Then we jump into November 30th, 2004, Stepping Out and Stepping Up. I kind of hate the title of this chapter, the stepping up part, because Joey has stepped up into this role that he's going to step up in this chapter, literally this entire book, his entire life. So we find out here that Marie's lying in her bed being a useless piece of trash, as always, and it's because Teddy has walked out on her. He left 3 nights before for some other woman. I don't know what other woman would touch this man, but apparently everyone in this town has severe brain damage. And I thought this was a very interesting line here. If I could have packed up his bags and walked him to the door, I would have. He declared that we could all burn to death for all he cared because he'd found himself a real woman. Foreshadow. Anyway, he's trying to talk to his mom, being like, you have to get up, please, mom. Nothing. She's staring off because she doesn't want to be a mom. She doesn't care about any of these children. She doesn't know life without Teddy Lynch. That's the bottom line. And with Teddy walking out on her, she doesn't know who she is, right? So even though she's got 6 children, and she was telling Aoife literally just a few chapters ago that her children mean everything to her, and she's got 6 children, she's so responsible. She's sitting in bed as a glorified zombie here. And then all she's doing is crying in bed. He goes, okay, mom, I'll stay home and mind Sean. So he's going to miss out on, everything he needs to do to stay home and parent his siblings once again. Shannon comes out and she's like, hey, what's going on? Did she come out yet? And they're like, no. And then this is just a scene of, once again, Joey stepping up and being there for his siblings, and Shannon also. Once again, you start to see this team dynamic of stepping up into the parental unit with Shannon and Joey here. Funny little scene with Tadgh here talking about sex ed class. And Joey's like, hey, we can talk about this later when you're a teenager. So that's that chapter. More useless Marie. Back to you, Grace.
Alrighty. Now we are a couple weeks later, December 10th, 2004. House calls and domestic disturbances. I do want to highlight Aoife's thoughts here at the beginning because it's really just sums up like where the like end of this book is going. Being loved with someone hell-bent on self-destructing was such a lonely place to exist. I felt incredibly helpless watching on as my boyfriend buried his secrets with lie upon countless lie. I wanted to save him. He wasn't clean. I knew that had it been since the day after Halloween when I made the fatal decision of admitting to him that his father had made another pass at me. I physically watched the light in his eyes leave that day. Nothing I'd been able to say or do since had been able to reignite that spark. So this implies to me, I don't know how you guys read it, but this implies to me that there was more than just that one that we covered in that chapter, that Teddy had made another pass. And I know we still have a lot to go, but something that this chapter makes me think about is it's just like Joey really spiraling here. I'm like, what was different? What really was like the straw that broke the camel's back? Because like his home life seems to be a cycle of a lot of the same things, but I think that like Teddy and Marie trying to infiltrate his relationship with Aoife, like his one safe place, like it's crazy how much that triggered so much for him. But anyway, lots of internal monologue about Aoife, just thinking about how she was so worried watching Joey self-destruct. And then she went over to the Lynch household again, and then this is when the Garda car is outside. She asked the neighbors what's going on, and then they said there's a domestic disturbance. And this is when we find out that I believe I'm not sure who called the guard on them, but Teddy and Joey had gotten in such a bad row that the guards were called. And this one's really significant, and this is something that I believe is brought up in Binding 13, because this is like one of the first times that like Joey came out on top with Teddy. So when Aoife shows up, she sees Shannon and she's like, hey, are you okay? What happened? And Shannon says he left. He was gone for almost 2 weeks until tonight. He came back and they got into a huge fight. She goes, your father and Joey. Clenching her eyes shut, she nodded against me. It was terrible, the worst I've ever seen them fight. And then she goes, why? Why did they arrest Joey? And Shannon says, because he won. He got the better of Dad for once. So, yeah, and then we see Aoife immediately goes off to find Joey and try to save him from what's happening, because she's just like so upset to see Joey like have to take the fall for what's happening in that house, and the way that Marie is manipulating the situation just to, you know, sweep everything that's happening in that house under the rug. So yeah, I'll pass it over.
I do want to say, with this chapter, there's an important note here that this is the first time Joey gets the better of Teddy, but this is also, I think, what really ramps up his tendency for violence, because he's gotten the better of Teddy here in this moment. Now he's finally has that feeling of being violent towards his dad. He's won, and he can save himself with that, and therefore maybe he will be able to save others with that. So it's not a negative thing in his mind. He's technically viewing this as a victory, but it leads to him now thinking that this is going to solve all of the other problems, because for once it's solved, he's won over his dad in his mind.
That's such a great point. I can't believe that's something I never really thought about before, because like that to him, because it's such a win, like he's probably doubles down on it because he thinks this is what is going to finally change things in the household.
Exactly. Well, look what happens now when he going to protect Shannon. Now he starts, we see in the next few chapters what he does, right, to protect Shannon. He now is viewing violence as the answer to it because it has gotten Teddy off of his back, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Interesting. That's a great point. Great call out, Olivia. I like that. All right, off to you, Ashley.
All right, then we jump to December 11th. No more chances, Lynch. This is the next morning. It was gone 9 the following morning before I was released from the station, making last night one of the longest stints in the cells. And basically he discovers that Aoife had been sleeping there all night waiting for him. And, you know, he's upset that she slept there all night. She is upset that this whole thing happened in the first place. And then he basically tells her what happened, where Teddy went, all of that. And then we saw this as well in the 13 duet, but this is where, you know, Aoife kind of starts saying, why don't you tell people to help you. And then that's when Joey is just like, it's not your business. You're my business. And then he is trying to calm her down. Like, it's okay. It's going to be fine. They'll write up the usual reports, send the usual people around for a home check, and mom will feed them the usual drivel. Then in a few weeks, it will all be brushed under the table. As we know from Shannon and everything, they have all been programmed. This is their life. This is how it's going to go. And it's just going to keep repeating. And Aoife, as a normal person, would say, how can this be brushed under the table? He beat you, Joey. You're his son, and he broke your damn nose. He hit your mom. He slapped your sister and Tadgh. He hurt him not too long ago. That's not normal. Contrary to whatever bull crap your parents have fed you, this doesn't happen in other homes. So how is this going to be fine? It just is, okay? I snapped, feeling my defensive walls shoot up around me. But yeah, this is just typical. We see this a lot. You guys have anything to add here?
No, I think this is also what really propels, and we see this in the chapter I'm about to get into, which is December 17th, 2004. This really propels Joey into the fear he's had the entire time of the guards being called and him being separated from his family. And he does feel betrayed because he has told Aoife that, he doesn't want the guards called and whatnot, and he's worried about his family being taken away from him. So I think this once again starts another cycle of mistrust in Joey's eyes, even though Aoife's just trying to protect him.
Well, you can see it too, because I did forget to include the very last line in it. I mean it, Molloy. Talk to the guards and we're done.
Mm-hmm. He says he'll never speak to her ever again. You
Yeah.
know? And I believe Joey. I believe he 100% would have cut her off completely. So then we get to December 17, 2004, suspensions and cold shoulders. Now, this is something that we know happens we get a flashback to this in Binding, right? This is Aoife's point of view, and she says, Joey and I were on the outs ever since our fight outside the guard station last weekend. He hasn't talked to her. She's done everything she can to kind of provoke him into talking to her, and it's not working, even though she keeps trying it. She says, like a glutton for punishment, she has a flashback to the last time they had been together, and it was them listening to the Beatles, and he says that my grandpa Murphy was a big fan of the Beatles. The Beatles is also mentioned again in Binding 13 with Johnny and Shannon. Then she talks to Casey about how she feels like Joey's upset at her, that he thinks I've broken his trust. And Casey's like, did you? And Aoife's like, no, I'm just trying to protect him. And then Casey stops her, and they automatically see there's a fight about to go down. And that's what I mean when we say that now Joey is ramping up the violence as a solution to problems here, right? Because you see Joey and a few of his friends becoming aggressive with Mike and Paul and a few others from our year. She comes over, and Joey's really reaming in, even though Podge is here trying to help because she says he doesn't need help, that Joey is a beast in and of himself. And when my boyfriend fought, it was a matter of life and death. Because when someone threatened Joe, it sent him right back to that house where he had to fight for his life against a man who had caused so much post-traumatic stress inside of him that I doubted a lifetime of therapy could fix it. He couldn't see Mike's face. All he could see was his father, especially since he's putting on, we know that this is, Joey shouts out that they hurt Shannon, and he's like, what's going on? We know this is where Shannon's bullies really ramp up, and is what leads to Shannon then going to Tommen, because Joey here, the guards show up, the principal's like, they're on their way, and this is where Joey gets his suspension from school that we hear about in Binding 13. So
December 17, 2004, this is the same day I'm knocking on heaven's door. So Joey has finally given into using needles, and he says, instead of mom screams, I concentrate on the sound of Bob Dylan's knocking on heaven door as it drifted from his stereo. I was so fucking dead inside that if you cut me open, my insides would spew black. That's how dark I felt, how truly rotten I felt on the inside, how far I'd fallen. And we can hear him, or we can read that he can hear his parents arguing in the background about him. Teddy's saying he doesn't care. He's saying he's off his trolley on drugs, Marie. There's no talking to him when he's like that. Wait until he comes around. And then they say, close the door. I don't want the rest of the children seeing him like this. And then he's hearing all these things being reverberated to him, all these painful statements about all the trauma that he's had in that house. And I think it's so interesting that he hears them say, close the door. I don't want them seeing it like that. And he's alone in the dark. So his parents saw what happened and left him alone in that room for himself, which is just disturbing. I don't think I need to get too much further into that, so I'll pass it along to Ashley.
All right, December 19th, Too Stubborn and Too in Love. We're in Aoife's POV, and she talks about how Joey was escorted from the school by the guards on Friday, and it had been radio silence from him ever since. She had gone over to the house, knocked repeatedly, and then she figured out from gossip Marie Lynch had pulled Shannon out of BCS with immediate effect and had enrolled her to start at Tommen College after Christmas break. The jury was still out on Joey's future. His latest episode had been taken to the Board of Management, who, from what I heard, were due to meet sometime in the next week to discuss his possible permanent expulsion from the school. And then basically where we're at now, she had received a text from Joey to meet her at Biddy's for a drink. And like I said, they have not talked since all of this has been going on. And we know being young and in relationships, and when you don't hear from your boyfriend in a while, you kind of start to spiral a little bit, right?
2 hours.
Pretty much, right?
You hate me. We're broken up.
Real.
Right? But she does ask, are they expelling you? And he hasn't heard anything, but he does say, Shannon's going to move to Tommen after Christmas. And then he says, could be a life changer for her. And I did highlight that because, it's a life changer for everyone. Shannon going to Tommen is truly the catalyst for the entire family. But basically, they have one of those lovely conversations we all love to have in a relationship is, what are we doing? What's going on here? And Joey is basically just like, I'm saying I'm not intentionally trying to put distance between us, but it's this typical, I'm not good for you, I want to be around you, but I can't be around you right now. Do you guys have anything to add to this?
No.
Okay.
December 23rd, 2004, Snuffed Out Hopes and Dreams. This is Joey's POV, and he talks about that conversation he and Aoife just had and how it was an opportunity for him to let her go, but he just couldn't. Without her, I had nothing. Without her, I was nothing. He starts really talking about how he knows he's spiraling at this point, and how he has a flashback to a scene of them together and how she walked him home that night. She took me home with her, he says. And in this moment, he's talking about how she was shining, fucking shining. The moon was illuminating her, powerful. She was so powerful. He's disoriented by her calmness and he's slurring and he's like, why aren't you shouting at me? Because what is he used to? Being shouted at whenever he messes up by his parents. And he's like, I've stopped trying, Molloy. I can't try anymore. Why aren't you kicking me out? She says, because you might not love yourself, but I do. I love you enough for the both of us. And if keeping you here with me means that you're off the streets and safe, that's what I'm going to do. In this moment, we have Aoife using her body as a replacement for drugs for Joey. She's attempting to use her body as a replacement for drugs with Joey. We know that does not work. And then he starts comparing himself to Teddy. He goes downstairs, he sees the father. He notes that his father's on the wagon. He gives him a week. He also notes that, Teddy's got Marie by her arm and Joey's like, back off her. And he does. Teddy is wary of Joey because
he's afraid of him.
He's afraid of him. He now knows that Joey can fight back and he will win. So at that point, Marie pretends to be a good parent here. All this is an act, in my opinion. It's disgusting. She's like, we need to sit down and talk. And he's like, why? And Teddy's like, your mom thinks she needs some counseling or some nonsense like that because of the heroin use. And he says, she didn't care. She didn't give a damn about me. All I was good for was holding the fort, for carrying the burden, for taking the weight off of her shoulders. I think it's important that she attempts to have this conversation of caring with him, especially with how this chapter ends, okay? All of a sudden, she's acting like she cares about his health, his well-being, and his safety, but in the end, it is all a manipulation tactic because she still needs to keep him around because she is pregnant again. And she does not want the one who's holding down the fort in the household to slip away from her. She needs him there. And so, in my opinion, this has nothing to do with her wanting him safe. It is her manipulation, her selfish greed of keeping them there to raise the children she keeps popping out with Teddy. So, yeah, that's how that ends. And Joey's, obviously, he says, I was done, gone, dead inside. He'd finally hit his limit. And this is 2 days before his birthday. The fact that she springs this on him here is just foul behavior on this woman's part. Foul. So go for it, Grace.
Yeah. I mean, great segue, because it's like they know he's going out to celebrate his birthday. So it's like, let me just ruin your night real quick. Anyway, we're back in Aoife's POV, and she, again, a harrowing start to this chapter. I was in love with an addict. It was as humiliating as it was heartbreaking. Joey's incessant need to do whatever had overtaken his need for me. I felt like I was the other woman in a twisted love triangle between him, my heart, and his latest drug of choice. Like, that, what a line. It's really insane. And like you said, Olivia, instead of doing the right thing for me, I did the safe thing for him. I took him into my bed and into my body because I loved him. I couldn't stop fighting for the boy, and I knew was still inside him. So we are at Biddy's, and it is Joey's birthday celebration. And Joey is walking around jacked up on just all sorts of drugs, and obviously not in a sane condition. Casey is observing it, asking Aoife, like, what is going on? Casey's even like, do you want to leave? Like, let's go have a girls' night. Like, you don't need to be around for this. And Aoife's refusing to leave because she can't just watch Joey slip away. And then Joey and a group of boys from his estate, knowing that's probably some of Shane and his friends. I don't think Shane's obviously there, but it's that circle of guys. They all but flipped out and jumped clean over the wall of the outdoor smoking area, and they run out. And then Casey's like, Aoife, just leave, and she couldn't. So Aoife starts chasing Joey, and Joey like gets onto the hood of a car and starts like slamming and breaking into the windshield. Also, I think it's interesting that Aoife points out just outside the pubs where we both knew that his father drank in, and then Joey rammed his fists into the windscreen. It's like, kind of like, what display are you putting on here, Joey, and why, and his state of mind that he's in. And then, so Aoife's like, Joey, stop, you're going to get arrested. Sirens start coming, the guards are about to come, and Aoife says, please stop. And she says he was breathing hard, still laughing like a crazy person as tears flowed down his cheek. So Joey's even like crying in this moment. And he's like saying, stop, make it stop. Clearly very unwell. And then Aoife takes him, runs with him, takes him to her house. And I think what Aoife says to Joey in this moment is really important. She says, he's left a hole inside of you. I told him as I dragged him along after me. It's trauma, Joey. Releasing a pained growl when we reached my street, I found myself desperately trying to reason with the unreasonable. You're traumatized and you need professional help. Very astute from a teenage girl to say this. And he says, I'm fine. Joey, you're about the furthest from fine a person can get. Leave it alone, Molloy. I don't want to fight with you. And she says, I don't want you to die. I scream, tears falling freely now as my emotions got the better of me. Don't you care about yourself? Not even a little bit. And Joey gets very raw and vulnerable. And he talks more about his childhood and what he had to go through and all the pain that he felt, all the fear that he's happened. He's saying, I was weak, I cried, I begged, I hid, I ran, and then when all that failed, I fought back. I stood the fuck up and fought back. It didn't work in the beginning. He still smacked the shit out of me, but at least I felt like I was doing something. And now I feel nothing, and I'm fine with that. And she says, your father's put you through hell. None of what happens in that house is on you. You grew up in a war zone. You've done a phenomenal job. And then Joey says, my true colors are ugly, Molloy. Stop looking for the good in me because it's not there to find, I promise. Because I know that if I love you, but in all honesty, if I forget you, I could. And I would. And then Joey says, if you don't get away from me soon, you're going to end up just like my mother. So yeah, I'll pass it over to you. Or if you guys want to add anything onto that.
I think something important here to note is that Joey makes this conversation of he feels lost because with the violence with his father, it's continuing. And I think it's because before he was losing, so he kept fighting back, right? And in his mind, it was, if I keep trying, if I eventually win, it will stop. But now he's won, and it hasn't stopped. You know, so I think that sends him deeper into this spiral here. That the one thing he clung to hope with, if I was strong enough to beat him, I could stop this. But he's not able to stop this still. And he holds that guilt on him, and he no longer knows what to do.
Yeah. So true. Yeah, that's a really hard scene to read.
Okay, then December 24th, it was Christmas Eve, babe. Aoife's point of view, and she basically says that Joey disappeared after that, and she couldn't get a hold of him. By late Christmas Eve night, I was frantic with worry, and after searching every one of his haunts and hangouts, including his house, I found myself standing at a front door that caused the hairs on the back of my neck to stand on end. I was greeted with the sight of a man I hated almost as much as Marie Lynch. So she has shown up at Shane Holland's house, because this is probably the last place she is going to find Joey. And Aoife, being typical Aoife, she's not going to back down. She's not going to show how scared she is. She's just like, is he here? Of course he's here. It's the only place left for him to go. You know damn well who sent him out. And then, Shane's like, go home, princess. There's nothing left here for you. Like hell there wasn't. You have something that belongs to me, and I'm not going anywhere until I get him back. You jumped up fucking scumbag. And Shane really shows just how scary and bad. He grabs her by the throat and like puts her in a chokehold. And there is this one guy there, basically, because she does find Joey, of course, on this really dirty stained mattress on the floor, needles, everything like that. Just a sight you don't want to see any of your loved ones in. And she's trying to get him out. Shane is, like just spouting a bunch of shit. And then there's this older guy there that helps Aoife get Joey out of the house. And, she's asking, is he going to be okay? And he's just like, yeah, he's not too far gone. There's still hope for him. And he's like, because she's like, why did you help me? Because I was your lad here once upon a time. And I wish somebody had helped my wife before I became what I am. And she became my ex. And then Aoife has Joey in the car. And this is when he's just like, she's pregnant. Who? My mother. Jesus, I was so reeling that I honestly didn't know what to say. And then Joey, once again, I'm sorry, Molloy, I'm so sorry. I know you are, I know Joe. And then she's like, tell me when you're sober. It won't count tonight. Why won't
Because
it
he tells her I love you for the first time.
Because you won't remember it.
Yeah. December 25th, 2004, Joey's POV, he opens his eyes and he hears Aoife crying in the corner. And he's frozen. The last few days, events came trickling back to me bit by bit, and the blood ran cold as shame enveloped me. Enveloped? Am I saying that correctly? Enveloped? No. He's like, baby, I'm so sorry. And finally, Aoife says, you're not good for me. I get that now, but it doesn't stop my heart from loving you. And she says, you might be the addict in this relationship, but you're also the habit that I need to kick, because I feel like I'm dying when I'm with you, and I feel like I'm dead when I'm not. We get a parallel of this with Liz and Hugh, right? When he says, I feel like I'm dead inside when I'm with you, but it feels worse to be away from you, type of deal, He says there's no morality in this as he sees her eyes are red and swollen. And he's like, Aoife, it kills me that I've done this to you. She keeps going. She's like, I can't walk away because I know there's still a little bit of you left in there, which means that I'm going to keep on loving you, Joey and Lynch. So you might want to start thinking about how to stop breaking my heart. And he's in his mind feeling guilty. He's like, this is why I can't have nice things, because you break them. And he needs to figure out a way to save her from himself is basically how this ends. So, and then we get into December 5th, 2004, Christmas morning. It's all you, Grace.
So this is just the same segue from the moment that Olivia was just covering. They're in Aoife's room. It was Christmas morning. It was Joey's 18th birthday. And then she's talking, like, really just reeling in the aftermath of what had happened. She says he's given up on himself. I could see it in his eyes last night. The same look was there when he woke up this morning. It scared me to death. I wanted to rescue him, to shield him from the horrors he had been born into. I wanted to be his armor when he couldn't fight back. I wanted to wade into battle for him. And immediately, Joey says, this is toxic. Joey strangled out, voicing my thoughts aloud as he held me in his arms, squeezing my body just as tightly as I was squeezing his. I'm toxic for you. She says, I don't care. I cried, delirious from a horrible concoction of love and heartache. I still want you. He said, that's the point, he croaked out, voice cracking, as he gently disentangled our joined bodies and climbed on my bed. I'm fucking toxic to you. And he says, please don't make it harder. We both know I need to go. This needs to end, and you need to let me do this for you. And he says, I have to leave all the pain, all the dumb fucked up shit I've put you through. I should have ended this a long time ago. And then, so Joey's like officially breaking up with Aoife. And as he's getting dressed and getting ready to go, he says, listen, I want you to know something. He said, quietly clenching my hip with his hand, I want you to know that you've been the best part of my day every day since I was 12 years old. She says, "Don't, Joe, I don't want to hear this." And he says, "It's true. My life has been a shitstorm from day dot, Molloy, and the whole goddamn town knows it. I've never had calm but you. You were like an island, somewhere for me to go and escape. Somewhere safe, somewhere to anchor me, if that even makes sense. And I took advantage of that when I had no right to. I was selfish when I dragged you into my world. Now I need to put you first." But that could not be further from the truth. But Joey is feeling that way in the moment, and that's why he's finally feeling like he needs to find the strength to up and leave her. And then she says, "Put me first by not doing this. I don't want this, Joey. I don't want your goodbyes." He says, "You might not want me to say goodbye, but you need me to. I was always going to fuck this up, Molloy. I'm only sorry that I didn't put you first sooner." And then he says, "I'm not good for you. I'm not fucking good for you. Last night was just a taster of how I'll be because I can't change." He says, if I don't walk away from you now, I never will." And then he goes, "I'll be seeing you, Molloy." And then he was gone. And he climbs out the window and leaves.
And then he was gone is Olivia's favorite quote within this series.
Yeah.
I love it because it's not then he was, I love the parallels of when this line is used. And it's used a lot for Joey and Aoife, and it's used a lot for Liz and Hugh.
Yeah.
So
It's a classic line. Yeah, I'll throw it back over to you, Ashley.
All right, cut from the same cloth, Joey's POV. This is where he is walking home, and basically my heart was demanding that I turn around and go back to her and beg her to forgive me, but basically he's having a battle with himself. Don't do it, you're toxic for her. And then he's like, but I need her. And then as he's walking home, he comes across a neighbor that used to go to school with him that's a little bit older, and this is one of my favorite examples that I have loved to use on TikTok for the foreshadowing of Joey and Aoife having a baby, because this was a former classmate that had a baby and he's miserable, and his baby mama comes out and is yelling at him, and he basically tells Joey, don't let this happen to you. But yeah, do you guys have really anything to add there? And then he gets home and Christmas with the family, which fuck Marie Lynch.
Yep, I should get that tattooed on my forehead.
Yeah, so Joey gets home and it is Christmas, and he discovers there is toys under the tree, which comes as a shock to him because the gifts that he got for the boys are up in his room. And then he sees, this is just so sad, he sees Tadgh over on the chair and he's just so depressed, and that's when he sees that these were what is it called? I know there's different names for it, like
a toy drive,
Toys for Tots here and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's basically like a Christmas toy drive where you help low income needy families with this. And he sees, like, on the tag of a toy train, boy age 7 to 11. And Joey gets extremely upset about this because he had given Marie money to get everyone Christmas gifts. And then he finds out she had, in fact, given Teddy the money to pay off some debts. But Joey, being Joey, had gifts already for them, goes upstairs. And, Ollie, being Ollie, is just like, cool, Santa came twice.
Yeah.
Oh, those kids are going to have such a different Christmas the following year.
Yeah.
And they deserve it, quite frankly.
That's a good perspective. I needed that reminder right now.
Yeah, I had to tell every time I reread this, I'm like, oh, your next Christmas is going to be pretty much like Daddy Warbucks.
Yeah. Then we get into December 27, 2004, the aftermath. This is Aoife's point of view. There's not a lot here. It's really her dealing with her heartbroken emotions and the aftermath of the breakup with Joey Lynch. I do want to note, I think something that's important here is that her parents and everyone around her knows she's going through a hard time. And she says, hell, even Kev had come knocking on my bedroom door, but I couldn't talk to him about it. At the end of the day, I think Kevin loves his sister and cares about her truly. And if my brother saw me going through this, he would also hate the significant other I was with. So Kev's reaction in redeeming in the next book, while he's not great, is a little understandable coming from a brother's point of view who's now watching his sister break down. She can't get out of bed. She's not the Aoife he knows. She's not moving, and he has one person to blame for that, and it's Joey Lynch. And I think he really holds on to that in the next book, So we get her here finally trying to get out of her depression. Another parallel I love here, she uses a shower to do it. This is important because earlier in this book, when Joey was high, and one of the first close moments Aoife and Joey had was the shower scene, right? Him taking a shower while he was high. And here we have Aoife taking a shower to try to get herself out of this dark spot. At the end, she calls him and says, hey, he doesn't answer. And she says, I don't love you. I really, really don't love you. And then we get into a fresh start.
Alrighty. Wow. New section, fresh start. So, which is a very fitting name because this is really where we see Joey trying to get clean after he had fallen down really hard on Christmas. And he points out, ironically, that his father had fallen off the wagon before my mother had finished carving the turkey, and I ended up spending the rest of Christmas Day breaking up arguments and shielding my siblings from his swinging fist. So Joey talks more about how he's trying to get clean, especially how he's trying to get clean for Aoife. And as he is in his detox, so to speak, his siblings are noticing how sick he's getting, and Tadgh is saying, are you still sick? You've been puking since Christmas. Shannon's like, oh my gosh, should I call the doctor? He's like, no, I'll be grand. And then this is when he asks Tadgh to take his phone from him because he's worried that he's going to be too weak and want to call Aoife. And then so Tadgh does as Joey asked. And then Shannon asks again, are you sure you don't want me to call a doctor? What about Aoife? I could call her for you. And he says, no, don't call Aoife. Don't call anyone. And then that's when he acknowledges that I might have been the one doing the breaking up, but I wasn't ready to admit it out loud, much less talk about it. And then he says that because I loved Aoife Molloy enough to force her hand with a get out of jail card, even if it almost killed me to do it, I would not turn her into another Sam, which is the wife of the guy from the terrace baby mama of the guy from the terrace that he ran into on Christmas, which was another reality check for him. Or worse, my mom. I would rather do a lot more before I let that happen. And then Shannon's saying, are you sure you don't want me to call Aoife for you? If I had a boyfriend, I would want to know if he was sick, which that's an interesting little line because she ends up being the only one who knows about Johnny being injured. And she says, I would want to help him. And then Joey says, she can't help me. No one can. And then I really love this moment between Joey and Shannon, so I want to call it out. Joey says, or thinks, I knew that Shannon knew what was really happening here. And Shannon knew that I knew she knew. Still, neither of us spoke a word about the elephant in the room, and I was grateful for her in this moment. She wasn't lecturing me. She wasn't calling me names and reminding me what of a terrible person I had become. She was just here. It's okay. Breathing labored, I forced myself to look in her eyes. It's going to be okay. And then she says, you promise? And he says, yeah, I promise. So I just want to acknowledge, I think it's so sweet that sometimes, people really, there's a debate about whether Joey had it harder, whether or not he viewed Shannon as a partner or someone he had to care for. And I think, two things can exist at once. But I think it's really beautiful in this moment that Shannon, you see the peace that she's able to bring to Joey in this moment by just being there and the presence that he needed, because he couldn't go to Aoife. He was trying to stay away from her, but the fact that Shannon was just present and being there with Joey as he was going through his withdrawals, I think was, and him being thankful for that, internally, just, it's really sweet and highlights how special their relationship is. But yeah, I will pass it over to you.
Okay, let's see if I can get this right. It's been 17 hours and 6 whole days. Alright, we are in
Well done.
Play it. Alright, okay, we are back in Aoife's POV, and we are on New Year's Eve. Alright, so Aoife has basically been talking about how she is in survival mode, and she's using basically 3 methods to survive all of this. Work, throwing herself into a bunch of work hours, dealing with a crappy boss, review for the leaving cert mode, and she basically talks about how she found Kevin's methods are actually, he knows what he's doing, and then take a bottle of vodka in the bath with me mode. Hey, whatever you need, girl. But she does talk about how obviously she's been depressed and feeling really bad, and she does say, I don't have any plans for the night. To be fair, it wasn't as if I didn't have offers. I had received countless texts and invitations from school pals, not to mention a dozen or so colorful voicemails from Casey. She was begging me to go with her to a Tommen party that Katie had snagged us an invite to, courtesy of her rugby-playing lover boy. According to Casey, the boys were fine, the drink was free, and she had every intention of snagging herself a fancy pants private school attending, built like a brick shithouse rugby playing ride for the night. Now, I would like to really quick plug our very first episode of the podcast, because it is a timeline of this particular year, and we start with this particular New Year's Eve, thanks to snippets and playlists. So, there's a lot going on the other side of town. Aoife and Joey are not part of it, but Aoife does mention what is happening.
Yes.
Yeah, so. I think I mentioned this in the last deep dive too, but this does... Obviously, there's a lot to unpack with this, but it ties into my theory that I think Casey was trying to see Feely that night.
Mm-hmm.
She knew damn well who he was.
Absolutely.
Having a repeat of the previous New Year's, I think she was trying to go for. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah,
anyway.
But Aoife does get all dressed up, but she is not going to that party.
Mm-mm. No, she is not. She's a determined woman. That she is. So then we get to December 31st, 2004. This is Joey's POV, babysitting brothers and boycotting bad habits. This is a really sweet scene. One of the sweeter moments we get in this household between Shannon and the boys. The boys are arguing with Joey about staying up for New Year's Eve, and they're like, why can't we stay up? And he's like, because then I'd have to let you all stay up, and then I'd have to drag you all back to bed. And he even says, what are you going to do, Tadgh laughs, glare at us to death? And then, yeah, Billy Brave Bollocks with the purple Furby tucked under his arm chimed in. We know you won't touch us, Joe. Sad and funny at the same time because they're used to violence from the father and they know Joey won't touch him, right? But I love that he's got his little purple Furby that's probably spying on him from some Chinese warehouse or something. You know, you remember that? Do you remember that whole controversy when they were like, the Furbies are spying on you? There's cameras from China and the Furbies. And you're like, oh God, I gotta get rid of my Furby.
I wonder if that was a lie some mom started so she wouldn't have to get her kid a Furby. I wasn't allowed to have a Furby for the simple fact that my mom said they were annoying. She's like, I don't want to listen to it. So
we did have it, and then my parents threw it away. They were like, yeah, oh my God, we're being spied on. I'm like, no, we're not. Anyway, just a cute little moment of Joey and Shannon here sitting, eating Kit Kats, talking about the last time that they were alone on New Year's Eve. And then we get a conversation that I think is really important. They have a conversation about Darren and what they think is going on with Darren. And, you know, Joey's like, clever fucker's probably in an office somewhere, sitting behind a big desk with a fancy computer in front of him and making a fortune with that big brain of his. Boy, does he clock it, right? And Shannon goes, I hope so. I really do hope he's okay, Joe. He's grand. He got out, didn't he? Yeah, I guess. Do you hate him? I nodded stiffly. Really? Yes, really. I really and truly despise the guy. For leaving me on my own in this. For dropping the burden of responsibility on my shoulders when we should be sharing the load. For snatching my future away from me when he walked out the door. And then Shannon talks about how she doesn't hate him. She's still hurt that he left and never came back or hasn't called. And then she kind of makes a joke and she's like, oh, well, I still don't hate him. I could never hate any of my brothers and especially my favorite brother. And Joey's like, you're such a kiss. And they talk about how that was a good month, you know, and some stuff that Shannon doesn't know. And he's like, be glad you don't know everything type of deal. Then there's a knock at the door, and Joey opens it, and it is the one and only Aoife Molloy there to claim back her man. Go for it, Grace.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why that was my response. Getting delusional here.
Get that addict, baby girl!
Hell yeah, like, they're so broken and, like, at their lowest point. I'm like, go, girl. All right, December 31st, 2004. I'm not okay. So Aoife knocks on their front door, and she says the very last person I had been expecting to see standing in the doorway was Joey, but when the door swung inward, that's exactly who I found staring back at me. So they start to chat, and immediately Aoife realizes that Joey is sober, and she's almost, like, shocked about why that he is, and she's like, you're here, you're not out, like, getting high or anything. You're like, she notices that he's trying And she's almost hurt about it because she's like, why are you all of a sudden trying to get clean when we've been broken up? And then he says, like, I'm trying to do this for you. And then he says, well, maybe this time when I fucked up, it cost me more than I was willing to lose. And she says, what does that mean? He says, you know what it means? She said, say it, give me the words. And he says, it cost me you. And she says, you did this, Joey. I know you broke up with me. I know. Then don't feed me any more bullshit. You were more than willing to lose me when you walked out on me. I was there. Remember, I watched you leave. And he says, because I was trying to do the right thing. And she says, for who? And he says, for you. For you, Molloy, for fucking you, always you. I was willing to walk away because I knew that I was the best thing that I could do for you, not because I don't love you. And this is, then they start going back and forth. She says, love me, so now you give me the word when it's over. That's just fucking priceless. And he says, I'm giving you the truth. And he says, I was trying to protect you. So all this, like, she's just asking. She says, I'm in love with you, I'm afraid for you, and I'm completely fucked up in the head because of you, and I have felt all these things for you since I was 12 years old. I have so much highlighted here because it's just such a deep and, like, crazy conversation with them. I couldn't love you more if I tried, Joey Lynch, I couldn't. And she says, but it's never going to be enough for you. I'm never going to be enough for you because my love doesn't come in the form of powder that you can snort up your nose or inject in your veins. And then Joey says, that's not how it is. That's not how I feel. I'm the problem here, Molloy. I'm the one who's never going to be enough, not you. And she says, you are enough. He says, I'm not. She says, it's too much, Joe. I feel too much for you. And he says, I know, that's exactly why I did it. You need to understand that this is a hill I've been climbing since before we met. This is my demon to slay. None of this is on you. So there's really just, like, a lot to unpack with this chapter, but it's really a lot about how Joey's, like, finally willing to admit that he feels like he's crossed so many lines with Aoife, and he's willing to really try to get clean to become a better person for her. And he even said that when they first got together earlier this year, that, like, she was the first thing that made him want to try. And he had been pulled so far back again, and he's trying to get back there again. So for them to just, like, really lay it all out here in this chapter, very raw and vulnerable and quite a turning point for their relationship. But yeah, I will pass it over to you, Ashley. I think this next one is the last chapter.
Yep, this is just them continuing their conversation, and this is just really heartbreaking for Aoife to read because you have Joey's perspective, and she's basically sobbing, why can't you love me more? Why am I not enough for you? I do love you more, I choked out. You are enough for me. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. I don't want it to be the way I am. I don't fucking love what I do. I despise it. Then why do it? Why? She was asking me to give her the answer to something I couldn't explain. How could I justify addiction to someone who had never lived through it? How was I supposed to make her understand that for most of my life I had been desperate to escape? Because Molloy didn't know what it felt like to wake up every morning with a strong inclination to attempt suicide. She didn't know how it felt to be a helpless child, half-starved from hunger, and even more starved for a way out of a home he wasn't wanted in. She didn't know what it felt like to be that hopeless kid who finally found something that helped him through the pain and sheer fucking misery that was his life. And she had no idea how quickly the shift in balance had happened for that kid, how it had snuck up on him so unexpectedly. She could never understand the excruciating self-loathing that came without realization that the one vice that had once helped that kid make it through the day had silently morphed into something he couldn't make it through the day without. She would never understand how it felt to transition from controlling your life with something you once enjoyed to becoming controlled by the very thing you now despised. I couldn't tell her any of that, though, because I couldn't, because it wasn't good enough. And, this is when he says, I can't really tell you, and she's just sobbing, begging for something. You're not saying what I need you to say. You want the words? Fine. I love you, Aoife Molloy. Don't. I love you. I love you more than I have ever loved another person in my life, and that's not an exaggeration. That's the God-honest truth. Which is why I can never put you in a position like the one I put you on Christmas Eve. It's because I love you that I will never allow that to happen to you ever again. You're not supposed to tell me that you love me after we've broken up, she cried. You're supposed to say it when we're still together. Before, during, after, I shrugged helplessly. It still stands. And, obviously, they're in the process of breaking up. I don't want this, Joey. I don't want to lose you. You're my best friend, and you're my best friend. And this is what I like to call a soft breakup, because they literally get back together, a week later?
Yeah. Well, technically, they're already broken up, right? This is, he's, like, refusing,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like 6 days they've been broken up, something like that.
Yeah. They want to hold 2 weeks without each other.
Ooh.
Yeah, but that wraps up Saving
I
Six.
do want to pinpoint an interesting parallel I think we get here. This is New Year's Eve. Joey and Aoife are still on the outs, right? And we know that there's always an inverse between Joey and Aoife and Liz and Hugh.
So
and
there's
based
probably
on
a
snippets,
really good thing happening on
there's
this
probably
night
something
tonight,
really exciting going on for Liz and Hugh this night.
So
and
once
I can't
again,
wait
to
to
plug that first podcast episode, go check it out.
All snippets indicate that New Year's Eve, a lot of good things are going down with Hugh and Liz in the path of rebuilding. So once again, you have the inverse here of them. But God, this book is so good. And the way it ends is a way that Releasing 10 ends. They are broken up and not together, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, except with Saving Six, I only had to wait 6 weeks.
You're going to have to wait 6 years for this based on how the fandom's going.
Probably. Anyway, so like we said, this will wrap it up for Saving Six. We'll probably take about a week break before we go on to Redeeming Six. We don't quite yet know how the format of that one is going to go. When we do get back to Redeeming Six, we are going to go back to how we were with the 13 duet. We had a set schedule where those episodes were dropped every Monday, I believe. We want to get back to that set schedule, so make sure you follow on Instagram for all of those notifications.
Yeah, make sure to like, thumbs up, comment down below. Did we miss anything on these final? This was actually a lot longer than what I thought it would be, but there's just so much stuff here. And when you go back over it, it is so fascinating to get 3 different perspectives here because we all each come with 3 different perspectives in this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And we each bring something unique and can call out things that the other person didn't catch. So I'm sure there's stuff that we did not catch that our audience did. So leave a comment down below. What would you rank Saving Six as in the timeline? Not the timeline. In your ratings of books so far, what would you rank Saving Six as so far that we've gone over? Very curious. If people put this last, I'm going to be shocked. But okay, I love Joey Lynch so much.
See,
so
I rank Binding last. It's a nice intro, but it's literally, to me, that's it. It's the first.
Taming is last for me. It's way too childish. It's way too.
And the Hughie and Lizzie stuff alone makes it not be last.
The Gibbs and Claire stuff with all crackers and
just
oh my god,
just ignore that. Look at I'm telling you.
I can't ignore
reread of Taming 7, I just looked at it from a Hughie and Lizzie perspective. It makes that book great.
Chloe's even well aware of most people's general thoughts and feelings on Taming 7.
The pacing's too, it just feels like a tease to me, that entire book. If it was more drawn out.
Well,
and I don't blame Chloe for this, I blame the publishers.
I blame Blooms,
so.
and I will forever blame Blooms for that.
Yeah.
So, ending on that note, none of us will be getting anything from Blooms anytime soon, but I'm okay with that, because I'm honest over on this channel. So
we're not kissing. Okay. I'm not about to deep throat Blooms just to get a goddamn arc. I don't need to. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely. On that note, we will see you guys next time for Redeeming Six.
Bye, guys.
Bye.